This is a production of Cornell University.
I am very happy to be here because I have the opportunity to share with all of you what we have been learning as part of the Futuro en Ag project that is part of the Equitable Farm Future Initiative. As Erica mentioned, it's okay. Yeah. So we want to share what we have been learning. But before begin, I would like to have this hypothesis. Extension works best when farmers are not just receiving information, but helping guiding decisions, priorities, and solutions. So I would like that we can keep that in mind. Extension works better when farmers lead the system. So our seminar today is going to be in 4 sections, I will say. We just have 40 minutes. I will try to do my best with the time. And
I'm wondering if the microphone moved to your
here
side so that it's
better here.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I can use this one too, if that is better.
Well,
Why don't we use that? Because then
let's try and see. Sorry, everyone.
No.
This is the.
Yeah. So I think it's better now.
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily have to talk into that so much.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry that. So this is my first time here, so I am also learning. So we are going to understand the context where we are in this project. So we also are going to offer some insights how extension could evolve when working with marginalized farmers. And also I want to share the Futuro en Ag approach, why we are working like that, and lessons from the field. That is our goal today. So first, I want to share some international experience working with underserved farmers. I have been working in the Americas, South America, Central America, Mexico, and United States. And I have been working with different frameworks, with international cooperation, governments, and universities. And I have learned that when we work with underserved communities, we need to work with equity, empowered agency, and leadership. So that's what we bring here to Futuro in New York, because when we think about marginalized and underserved farmers, we used to think about developing countries, but that's not true. We also have here in New York marginalized farmers. So it's a very good opportunity to learn from the international experience that many of us have working in developing countries and how we can apply this in our extension and education programs. Another very important mandate that I have as part of my practice working with Cornell Small Farms program is our mission. We as a program, we serve all farmers. We want to innovate and intentionally support them according to their needs, right? So because of this, because we serve all farmers, we work with diverse farmers, and equity is part of our core. But what equity means, so that's what we are going to learn today. And another important part of our work is we have 3 strategic goals in our strategic plan with Cornell Small Farms program. New farms development in New York, resilience and networks of care. So this is also part of our mandate. As part of our strategic goal, we want to contribute as a program that 250 new farms are going to develop by 2030. But from these farmers, 50 farms are going to be led by historically excluded farmers. So that is very important to have in mind, because that's why we are here, right? To extend the knowledge all of our communities that we work with in New York City. So that in New York State. So our average is about 8 to 12 farms annually. So that is our goals. If we have clear goals, I think we are going to achieve them. So our mandate is outreach to diverse farmers, how we work on this. Okay, we conduct outreach in populations that have many diverse communities. But who are the marginalized farmers? Those who have been excluded from traditional programs, those who due to different factors like gender, race, immigration status, language, identity, is more difficult for them to access to conventional programs as well. And those farmers who have limited access to production factors like land, capital, markets, and knowledge as well, how to manage the knowledge, education. So that's the farmers that we are talking about when we talk about marginalized farmers. They face many challenges, limited access to educational opportunities and training, because of this, they don't speak English as a first language, for example, like me, I speak Spanish. And also, when we talk with those farmers, they face many barriers like different levels of education, different level of digital literacy, and basic math. Many of them don't know how to use technology or a program that is easy for some of us, but not for them. And many of them are not familiar with the agricultural institution, with the agricultural systems, and also how to navigate in the systems. And they face a lot of financial and economic challenges. So what happened here is that they cannot participate in traditional education programs that some universities could offer them, but they have so many barriers that it's difficult for them to participate. However, those farmers have a lot of strengths, talents. They have been working here in New York maybe 20 years, 30 years in the production side. They have a lot of knowledge. So they are very resilient. They are hard workers. They have communities that support them. In that case, it was no lack of interest that they don't participate because they have capacity. It is because the barriers that they face. So if we have that in mind, we are going to be able to develop a program that is intentional for them. When we started in our program 4 years ago, 4.5, so we wanted to understand experience and expectation, how we are going to work with them. We believed, some of us believed that it was easy just to write an email and put in a promo. We have this education opportunity for you and everybody is going to come. That's not true because what we have been talking. So we developed a focus group, a community-based participatory approach. We wanted to listen to them. We want to hear what their needs are, what the challenges are. And we did the different focus group statewide. And that's when we started having more intentional learning process because we wanted to develop something for them specifically. So we heard that these farmers, these marginalized farmers, have many needs, barriers, and we also ask ourselves, when you see the USDA data, you are going to find that many, like 600 Hispanic farmers are registered. But we ask ourselves where they are, how we can find them. They are not going to come here. We have to go there. but where they are. So that is the first challenge. But we say why they don't participate if there is so many opportunities in the CCE and other programs, and also as a Cornell. So what we heard is that the first barrier is language and communication. Many of the programs are in English. And as this is one barrier, they are not going to be able to fully understand what they have. Level of education. I want also to say that this is with the Hispanic and the group that we work, because we have many different diverse farmers in New York State. But this is what we did. Cultural barriers. They have a lot of fears of asking questions or embarrassment. We tend to say yes to everything, even when we don't understand, because it's better to say yes than say no. For example, new lifestyles in the United States, few friends, and often loneliness and isolation, and lack of sense of belonging. That is very interesting, and lack of recognition of our contribution to the agricultural sector in New York. That's what we heard in the focus group. So we didn't heard that they didn't participate because they was not interested. They didn't not participate because the barriers. So okay. The barriers are part of the structure, right? We have different structural barriers that maybe it's not our role to fix that barriers, but we need to take this in account in order for us to provide these opportunities to all farmers, as our mission says. So in addition to language and cultural barriers, they also have limited trust in institutions. They have a lot of difficulties to access to land, credit, and programs, and the social isolation and limited professional networks. And I really want we keep that in mind, the social capital. That is very important when we talk with diverse farmers, because we feel alone here. And I say we because I am an immigrant as well. And it is difficult to start creating a social structure, and mostly when you are a farmer. So what we bring, so we have a lot of engagement strategies that are informed by research. In one of those participatory approaches, trust and social networks, and peer learning, strengths, knowledge exchange. And that is something that we used to do in our developing countries, and also in the international cooperation when we work with rural development, underserved communities as well. So all the team that work with us, they have some experience international, and we all together are trying to innovate what we do here and how we can support those farmers. Okay, so our challenge was how we are going to empower marginalized farmers, right? Because they face many challenges and barriers. So the first thing that we do is mapping past experiences. But what that means, mapping past experiences, is that I remember when I was in Western New York, and all farmers that are able to speak English, a first language, and other things, they were in one side of the room, and one farmer in the other corner. So how we can bring that farmer, and we all together can be able to attend and receive that education. So, but the first thing, mapping past experiences. Many farmers sometimes they feel discriminated, and they don't feel that they belong to the group, and they have a lot of fears to ask questions and other things. So we need to learn from them what happened before that doesn't allow you to fully participate in these opportunities. And what we think we learn is that they don't fully trust in the organizations or institutions. Mostly they trust in community organizations like churches, nonprofit organizations, and other organizations that are part of their context, their local context. And navigating in government agency or university, it's very difficult for them because they don't know where they can enter, right? So we started building relationships because this relationship was one of the broken points. So we need to start building that relationship and deliver structured education in order for us to empower marginalized farmers. In that sense, we reframe our question how we can evolve, where we need to reframe, we need to think about engagement with the marginalized farmers and extension and education. Because the purpose of the extensions keeps the same. That doesn't change. We still are going to transfer knowledge. We still are going to support farmers to get agricultural practices, market practices. But the process when we work with marginalized farmers need to have certain conditions. And one of that condition is trust. If farmers don't feel that they are safe, they are not going to participate and they are not going to engage. And also they need to feel that they are able to access. But what access means, we are going to talk later about that. And when these conditions, trust and access, are part of the engagement strategy, that's when you see results and outcomes. And we are trying to get outcomes like adoption, integration, engagement, resilience, and others outcomes that we are going to share. In that sense, I would like to share this video, and you can see what futuro en ag means. Futuro means future in agriculture, because 76% of the population who work the farm labor, most of them are Hispanic in New York. So we are going to listen to watch that video. It's a short one. La visión de futuro es empoderar a la comunidad agrícola para que ellos puedan alcanzar sus sueños, sus objetivos empresariales, sus objetivos agrícolas o pecuarios a través de la educación bilingüe, de la asistencia técnica personalizada, de la construcción de comunidad, del manejo del saber colectivo que estas comunidades tienen y que estas comunidades sean más resilientes y también que formen parte del sector agrícola de una forma más grande en Nueva York, porque sabemos que ellos son contribuyentes importantes para la agricultura en Nueva York y en los Estados Unidos.
Yo soy el manager del campo y yo me encargo del manejo de los cultivos de las personas. Cuando viene la cosecha somos aproximadamente 80 personas, porque nosotros en la comunidad que tenemos, en la comunidad agrícola, managers, trabajadores, principalmente managers, necesitamos más ayuda, necesitamos más conocimientos y estos programas ayudan mucho.
Queremos que haya nuevos productores con tierra, con infraestructura, con acceso al capital y que también ellos se conviertan en esos nuevos educadores locales que inspiran a las nuevas generaciones. Entonces nuestra visión es que el sector agrícola de Nueva York sea tan diverso como la población de Nueva York.
Muchas veces nos sentimos como que no sabemos mucho, no podemos aportar y pues empoderarnos nosotras, ¿verdad? Creérnoslas nosotras que sí somos capaces, que sí podemos, que tenemos el conocimiento y pues también, ¿verdad? Que hay programas como el de ustedes que conectan y ayudan a que nuestros sueños puedan hacerse realidad.
Está gordísimo.
Pues los dos somos agricultores, ya por muchos años. Yo, desde que tengo razón, siempre me he dedicado en el campo.
Seguimos trabajando en un rancho de manzana por muchos años, 18 años. Los patrones nunca valoraron el trabajo que nosotros hacíamos y ahora ya nos dedicamos hace 3 años para nuestro negocio.
Yo estoy desde las 6 de la mañana hasta las 8 de la noche con toda mi familia, con todos. trabajando juntos aquí deshierbando y todo, ¿no? Soy feliz viendo crecer a todos. Y pues mi objetivo es, como digo, tener un rancho hermoso. Yo tengo más capacidad, ahora sí, yo tengo mucho potencial, digamos, en mí para realizar para mí mismo.
Y también eso es otra cosa que queremos, que todos nuestros productores en Nueva York, sin importar su raza, su lengua, sean parte de esta comunidad vibrante de agricultores y que se sientan parte y que la comunidad los abrace, porque cada productor es bien único, pero todos tienen muchas cosas importantes que dar. Entonces ese es mi sueño. Ese es el sueño de futuro. Como yo veo en 5 años, es que yo puedo llegar como productora a visitar otro productor que es vecino mío y vamos a compartir y nos vamos a ayudar, porque sabemos que somos importantes para la economía, para la nutrición, para los niños, para todas las familias en Nueva York. Y yo sé que vamos a ver eso dentro de poco. Ya lo estamos viendo. Thank you. Now that you have a good idea about what Futuro en Ag is, so I know we have just a few minutes left, but this is how we engage our community. Farmers can enter any point here, but we want to build trust in the first step through field dates, referrals, personal visits, and this is a long-term program. They start taking some online classes in Spanish first as a first entry point when they start building trust, and they can get more opportunities. And we see how participation increase and also retention increase because they come again. And that's when we see why this is different, right? We are also creating a learning community. We can share more about this, and I can share the presentation, but this process that you see in the slide before is exactly the same how we are. The process is a long-term in our experience working in the international context when we work with underserved communities. You cannot have one activity as an event and you are going to transfer knowledge. That's not going to be enough. You have to have a long-term program and could be at least 5 years working with that farmer and to start seeing differences. So we have some education outcomes, leadership outcomes, and community outcomes that build social capital, educational capital, and also productive and economic capital. So as we identify barriers, our programmatic response was giving an answer to that barriers, right? If they say language barriers is a problem, we cannot participate because we don't understand. So that's why we offer Spanish first education. And we are very happy that this year we are going to launch 5 new courses. So we already have 2. We have 7 courses, but all our technical assistance and one-on-one and mentorship is bilingual. So that's why we have a bilingual team. It's important for our also institutional strategies. You need to hire people with those qualities if you want to support diverse farmers. So institutional intimidation is very important when working with diverse farmers because they do not have experience navigating in the system. If they want to apply to have a grant, they don't know how to fill the paperwork. They don't know how to even register. So that is another step that we have to do, and you don't do that with farmers who have the knowledge how to navigate, and they already trust in the institutions because they have been working for many, many years. So that is something that if we want to work with diverse farmers, we need to have that openness and that flexibility. Okay, this is how we engage in extension in Futuro en Ag. The first thing is rebuilding or building trust, right? This is our point of enter. And now we work with bilingual and multicultural education in different topics, but also it's important for us empower farmers with economic outcomes, market access, land access, capital access. It's not just about education, because you can provide education, but if they do not have the factors to put in practice that education, it is not going to be enough. So that's when we navigate. And I have seen many pathways in collaborative agriculture. We see in Hudson Valley, Long Island, Western New York, farmers working together, marginalized farmers working together to have easier access to land, capital, and markets. And another important thing is very important, the leadership. When we started with our conference in Spanish, that was intentional. So we wanted farmers to have their own voice. They to tell the story, not us. They need to tell the story. And we had the opportunity there that they were exposed to the commissioner, institutions, nonprofit organizations, and that's when you start building a community of care and networks of care. So you can see our data. Blue is participants in person. When we are starting in every single year is increasing, and retention is increasing as well. And now we can see farmers that started with us in 2022 without land, and now they have land and they have market and they are accessing to have grants opportunity. So we see here as a holistic approach to engagement. So lesson learned, very quickly, trust is a foundational condition when we work with diverse farmers. If they don't trust, they are not going to participate. If they don't trust, they are not going to disclose their needs, their challenges, and their ideas to have solutions that are workable for them. And if they don't have trust, they are not going to adopt all the beautiful and important research that we do. So that is important, the first lesson. The lesson second is, the lesson two is belonging as a driver of participation and economic drive, economic growth. We don't want them to fill the classrooms. We want them to succeed in the farm. So when they start feeling that they are safe, that we offer a program that is cultural relevant for them, we see that they are building networks, having opportunities, and increasing their goals as a farm. Language access is not just translated, it's economic access. If they come again, we have a very good rate of retention. They are learning and deepening their knowledge. And that's when you see their incomes growth and profits increasing. And that's when they are able to buy land and to have better access. And their life, their children are going to change their life. Another lesson, very important, navigation is more than information. They know that extension or grant opportunities exist. They know that, but they don't know how to navigate. This definition is what we do, hands-on guidance and that help farmers complete application, gather requirement documents, submit materials, and that's when they are building trust. And then in the second round, if they have another opportunity in grants, they're going to be able to apply. That's when you see the impact. Workshops alone may influence behavior, but lasting change required ongoing support. And we can see our chart before is a long-term program. It's one-on-one accompaniment that we have to provide, and that's when you see transformation. And I am really happy because we are going to see that transformation with the young generations. You see in our cohort and trainings, 7 members of the family, wife, husband, and 5 children. Children 20, 22 years, and they are getting the same training that their parents. So we are a multiplier there when they receive our education extension opportunities. Collective pathways is mostly collaborative farming, and we see that with our Juntos Aprendemos is together we learn in school fields, and also in Hudson Valley, Western New York, we are seeing how farmers are associate themselves, and that is social capital, and it's easier for them to get access to capital and other opportunities. We can have many digital tools, but if farmers they don't know how to use those, that doesn't help. So we need to identify what is the best tools that they communicate, and they can be able to have a conversation and follow up. We use the WhatsApp and text because they don't use a lot of emails and websites in newsletters. So that is another thing that we can work. Extension must adapt to the community. That means we have never having a training opportunity at noon, because families that we work with have multiple jobs and they don't have time to get training at noon. They used to get trainings at 7 p.m., or we have to look for the day that work for them, and also weekends. And you see the entire family working together and getting that education together. So that is important. Listen before programming. You can have a very good program, but if that doesn't work with the farmer that we serve, we are just wasting our time. Leadership is a very intentional strategy. We want them to have voice, tell their own stories, and this is our, last year was our 3rd year that we are doing this kind of conferences, when they exchange knowledge, they exposed to different opportunities and government as well, and we are seeing that change now. So equity required intentional design. Equity is no translation. Equity is no symbolic inclusion. Just a little bit adjustment to the program provide Spanish education. Equity is a structural inclusion, and is a transformation that takes time and takes people as well and resources. This is one example, 2 brother farms that starting with our online courses, and now they have like 5 farm markets in New York City. This is another example. Working with us, Rosie is the 1st generation in college. And that is when we are breaking the poverty cycle, when we talk with the underserved farmers. Investing in marginalized farmers in New York is important because they are also part of our sector. And I want to thanks to our Cornell Small Farms team. We really appreciate this opportunity to share with us, with you, with all of you, but also the team that works with us, Cornell Small Farms, is very committed, and we are there to support the farmers and also our farmers members that are now with us, but they were also part of our work, and the New York State Department of Agriculture, because they trust that we are able to provide this service to the underserved farmers. And that's all that we have. If you have any question, I am still here.
Any questions?
I'll have one. Starting with the focus group is the first step. How do you ensure you get good buy-in with that so that you can then start to do everything else?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The first thing that we did is going to the different towns when we, if I understood well the question, buying means cómo hice que ellos lograron acercarse a nosotros, que dijeran la información. Okay, so that is, we went to different farms where the highest population is. We visited them, but we did in Spanish. we did that in our own words. We did that in a very humble way. We never presented ourselves as I am the director of Futuro and Act, because they are not going to trust. I am Mildred. I am exactly like you. And we are here to support you. And that is part of our values: cultural humility, empathy, and listening. So it's very important to present ourselves as we are. And we are there to look for solutions that work for them, but never as a very big, because that is the first barrier that we face. Thank you.
I'm just curious, it seems like everyone you brought into your focus groups or have worked with are all working in the agricultural sector and either own or trying to start maybe their own farm. And it seemed like you referred to everyone as farmers. And I just think it's really interesting. You know, I always find interesting the sort of division, like who we refer to as farmers and who we refer to as farm workers, right? Or whatnot. And I guess I'm curious, like how you define farmer and like both just for yourself and meaningfully in your work.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I would encourage you to listen one of our podcasts that is called Who is a Farmer? And for us, focus on the Hispanic. So I am a farmer. I grew up in a small farm in Honduras, but I didn't have land until this January that we bought a farm. So now I am a farmer, but I have that legacy as part of my blood, as part of my mind. And many people who are working here, we identify them as a labor crew, but they are still farmers. So it's a decision that you as a person take. I want to call myself farmer because that's how I grew up. I am a farmer without land, without access to education, without resources. That is another thing, right? But it's something that we embrace community. What we have been seeing is from farm employees, farm workers, transitioning to entrepreneurs, and now from entrepreneurs having their own farm. And we can show you many stories. And that's the process because I brought that as part of my identity. I will have that in mind until I am able to get that land. And many of them I ask, why you are farming if it is not profitable? So they ask, because it's freedom for me. So they have many goals for them to become a farmer. It's not just money, it means other things that's part of our life. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your talk. I really enjoyed it. And I was excited to see your use of community-based research methods. And I was curious, this might be a very detailed question, so you can tell me, come up and talk to me later if you want. I was curious how you went about mapping, like with your focus groups, because I think that's challenging to do. So I just was curious how you did it or how y'all approached that.
That's a very good question. And of course, we can have another 40 minutes just talking about that. But I work with the United Nations programs in Central America with the Inter-American Fund of Agricultural Development and other international organizations that they have developed very clear methodologies to work with focus group. And we have very similar backgrounds with the groups that we work with. And over there could be easier, but here you have to find the people first, right? The first step that we did is just to mapping where the highest population is about the Hispanic and workers and entrepreneurs. And that we did some in Western New York, Hudson Valley, Long Island, and that was our first approach. We didn't have a methodology, like research, because we just were learning and focus group. But if we have a more systematic approach and research. I think that is something that we need to do. We need to do more research and having more academic opportunities here for students who want to work on these approaches. But I can share more with you later. But yeah, we did it. Mhm. Yeah.
Sorry. Are there any examples of either programs or just like, I don't know, farther along communities, like agricultural communities in terms of more systemic inclusion in other states or areas of the country that you can kind of look
Compare.
to? Yeah.
Well, it's a good question. We have been receiving a lot of emails, and they want to learn more about what Futuro en Ag has been doing. Because what I've learned is many universities, they have a bilingual education in terms of translation. And maybe in California or in the south part of Texas, Arizona, you can find more systematic approaches. But I don't have that information here. But here in New York, I think we are the first one that are working on it, because we get a lot of inquiries about how you have been doing it. And we want to document and systematize more as an opportunity for others to learn what we have been doing. Yeah. Mhm. Okay. If there is no more question, thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate that you were here until late.
This has been a production of Cornell University, on the web at cornell.edu.